Damn Dodge, you went and done it. You did a Durango RT. This video is going to be a long video because I'm actually going to go from Austin to Dallas in the Durango RT. I'm going to make a road trip out of this, number one, because, well, it's worth it. So here we go, the Durango RT.
If you're a new subscriber to my channel, thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button below. The reason why I'm doing a road trip is because a lot of my old videos were centered around road trips, and a lot of my old subscribers have actually begged me to do a road trip. And that's what I'm doing here. I actually recorded this in March when I was going to the Dallas Auto Show, and Fiat Chrysler gave me this Dodge Durango RT to drive. So enjoy the show.
You'll notice something back here, and that is it has a third row. And something you'll notice over here in the trunk space is a built-in flashlight, LED flashlight. Really handy. It actually charges when you put it in here. And we have plenty of storage. We have a cargo net there. We have actual storage under this. And just to show you what the depth is like, this is a shoebox, pretty deep. When the third row is completely down, we have a lot of room back here. So you can see we have armrests as well. I'll show you another trick. We can pop these headrests up before we go on our voyage. But I want to show you this button right here. You see, this is the button that most people expect to be up here. However, if you own this vehicle, I can guarantee that you are not helicopter parents, because this allows your kids to close the trunk without you. Of course, it also helps if maybe someone in your family has tiny hands. The way it closes means it won't wake up any of your sleeping passengers. The whole vehicle is like this. It's really thought out for everybody. The entire family is accommodated here. We have two USB ports, we have heated seats, we have our ventilation, we have headphones, Uconnect headphones, so they're obviously Bluetooth wireless, and we have fold-away screens. Okay, we have HDMI 2 and HDMI 1. Okay, so we have AV controls for each screen, and then cup holder, cup holder, cup holder. We have cup holders back here. These are like captain's chairs, so they're very comfortable, and of course they fold very easily. They also recline. Look at that. They do recline. This is worth it. This is a road trip worthy vehicle. If anyone in your family has one of these, definitely beg to borrow it. I can also control very smoothly the air conditioning controls, so I can set my fan speed and everything else. Auto. Let's put it in the middle. Great lighting, air vents. We have 6 air vents back here, 2 air vents down there, and 4 in the roof. Let's check out the cockpit. Let's take this thing on a road trip. Okay, let's get this show on the road. I have a 5.7 liter HEMI V8 and push button start. Ooh. Listen to this thing as well. So I got the hatch open, I threw something in the back and totally forgot to close it, and that's okay because I have a button right up here. I push it, and it shuts from here. I can open it from here as well, and that's fantastic. I can hear the fan in the back as well being very loud, so what I can do here is I can go to rear climate, and, well, I can say off, and I shut it off. As far as the climate up front, I can just set my temperature to a good 71 degrees. I have it on sync. And, well, auto. What that does is it automatically controls the direction of the air and the airflow. Handles everything for me. As you'd expect from a modern vehicle these days, I need to complain about one thing though. The storage space. There's a little cubby here that doesn't fit a cell phone. I have great cup holders here, and then a space here that holds junk, and then I have map pockets and place for another drink down there. But what about the center armrest? Well, I lift this up, and there's really not much room for anything. Here's my cell phone, which can fit there, or not here, right? My tiny hands can fit here, though. That's perfect. If you have kids, you need places to store their toys. So let's close the garage, hit the windshield washer fluid. It's pretty dusty out. And let's hit the road. When I put it in reverse, I have a backup camera and parking sensors, and when I turn the steering wheel, it actually gives me perspective. So it'll basically show me where the vehicle will be headed when I turn the wheel, which is great. And these dotted lines here obviously help with backing up to a trailer. Very handy. And I have a rotary knob, and a lot of people complain about that rotary gear selection, but I love it. I think it's fantastic. It even works if you have tiny hands. So right off the bat, why I love the Durango RT so much is because it does everything well. This V8 picks up and goes. It doesn't dilly-dally. The suspension is very firm yet very supple. It's got this very nice calibration to it. And the best way I can describe that is this very little body roll, but at the same time, it doesn't transmit anything you don't want to feel into the cabin. These whopping great big wheels are also helping with this ride quality because, well, I don't hear road noise, but I definitely feel connected to the road. So I have an SUV that holds 6 passengers, has a fantastic V8 engine, lots of horsepower. This SUV has some pretty badass looks. It's pretty intimidating, but at the same time, you have no idea how nice it is in here and how nice it is to ride in. Something else I have is lane sense, and it will read the markings on the road and steer me in the lane, keep me in the lane as much as possible. If it's a windy day out and I'm on the road, this will do its best to keep me in lane, and that's a safety feature. Also, if I'm not paying attention, if I'm busy handing toys back and forth, it'll still keep me in my lane as well. If I'm slightly distracted or not paying full attention, the Durango RT has me covered. And that's fantastic because this thing only costs $50,000. 50 grand for a 6-passenger SUV. Keep in mind this is only rear-wheel drive, but it's still a V8 6-passenger hauler that has more room in here than a GMC Acadia Denali, costs less than a GMC Acadia Denali, and has more room inside than a Volvo XC90 and costs less than an XC90, and has a V8, something a Volvo XC90 will never have in the future. Now, I've driven this 211.7 miles before this trip, and I've averaged 15.7 mpgs. That sounds pretty low, but I've been driving this thing like I stole it, basically. And, well, in 6 hours and 39 minutes of driving in Austin traffic, 15.7 mpgs, think I'm doing it just right. Because the actual economy is 14 city, 22 highway. 14 city, 22 highway, if I'm dead in the middle, I mean, the worst I could do is 15.7. Think about it like that. Of course, I have a sport button, sport on, and then there's a button here called eco off. And what this V8 engine is able to do is it's able to detune itself down to a 4-cylinder engine when you're not really using it. And that's quite remarkable because this thing is never really working that hard. It's just so powerful, I never really have to step my foot in it. But on this trip, I'm going to go ahead and reset, and we're going to head over to Dallas, Texas from Austin. And on this trip, I'm going to show you what kind of fuel economy I get driving the way I drive, which on this trip, I'm not going to go for a fuel efficiency run. I'm just going to go for a drive. I have half a tank, just under half a tank. I predict I should get there just fine. And let's go ahead and pop up the navigation here, and let's set my destination, which this time will be the Omni Hotel in Dallas.
Now, do you want to start route guidance? a POI brand name or a category.
Omni Hotel, Dallas.
There are multiple entries for Omni Hotels. Line 1, Omni Barton Creek Resort Spa. Paused. Make your selection on the screen. Line 11, Omni Hotels Dallas. Now, do you want to start route guide?
One thing I'm not really thrilled about is the way the navigation works for destination entry, but I just haven't really learned it. I mean, a lot of these systems are easy to use without having to read the manual, and they should be. In this particular case, I'm used to something that's a little bit more technical. This is a bit of a simpler system. It's still found Omni in Dallas, but I'm just not seeing or getting information I really want to know. But at this point, I know it's 2 hours and 51 minutes away. The distance is 178 miles, and I have a HEMI V8 at my disposal.
25.7 miles.
Once I open this thing up on the freeway, I'll be able to give you a real down-to-the-earth, noble review of this vehicle, which I think is something that should be at the very top of your shopping list. Even if you're not looking at an SUV, this should be at the top of your shopping list. It's that good. You see those headrests back there that I left up a while ago? I can actually put them down right now. I just go to Controls, and then this button here, Headrests Fold, and all I have to do is press it. They're down. That's very Mercedes-Benz-like. I also have heated and vented seats. I'll have a little bit of that too, because it's 84 degrees out, kind of warm. Okay, now I'm parallel 35 and I can finally get on the freeway. So far,
Keep left after half a mile.
So far I've averaged 23.5 mpgs in the last 9.2 miles, just cruising along in normal stop and go city traffic. And
After 1,000 feet, keep left onto I-35 northbound.
And now it's time to get on the freeway. I still haven't hit the sport button on, but
Keep left.
what I will do is turn eco off. So I hit that button now. And what that'll do is that'll disable cylinder deactivation. It will also
Drive 114 miles.
it'll also get moving. So one of the benefits of this vehicle with the way it looks is it's got this G-Man look to it. It's very, very weird looking. And people aren't sure if this is a undercover vehicle or if this is just some badass baller or what. They get out of the way when this vehicle comes up around them. And they are very suspicious about it as well. It makes people aware of you. The GPS system also has traffic built in, so it's quite nice to be able to punch in a destination.
Traffic jam ahead on I-35 between exit 308 and exit 311.
But that's 48 miles from here. At least it's letting me know now. I don't see it on the map yet, but when I do, maybe I can make alternative plans. So you wouldn't know it, and I almost didn't notice it, but right now I'm cruising just above 80 miles an hour. And, well, I'm still averaging 22.6 mpgs, but just listen in here. There's hardly any wind noise. There's no road noise. This thing is just outrageously quiet. I don't even hear the engine. I don't hear the exhaust. Of course, I can put my foot down and hear a bunch of stuff, but this, for a road trip, is fantastic. It's very roomy in here. Very comfortable so far. And I have radar cruise, which I haven't even shown you that yet. And to do that, I just hit this button here, set. And that sets the cruise control to whatever speed I'm currently going, which is 80 miles an hour. And it will pace the car in front of me. If the car goes slower, I begin to slow down, but I keep a distance, a safe distance that I set here with these buttons on the steering wheel. it's kind of windy right now, so I have my lane assist on, which is keeping me in the lane. If I start to get close to the line, it actually steers me back in and corrects it.
Traffic jam ahead on I-35 between exit 308 and McLennan County Line. Route recalculation.
Oh, it recalculated.
Drive 32 miles.
So now what's happening is, even though I'm still headed to my destination, which is the Omni Hotel in Dallas, it's now going to send me a different route because it knows traffic is just effed up. And that's typical, but at the same time, it found a faster route. It's constantly looking out for me, finding a better way to get there. Can't complain about that. So here's a classic example of what happens with radar cruise. You set the cruise, and then it comes up on a car in front, and it gradually adjusts the speed to the vehicle in front. In this case, we're going, well, that car ahead can't pick a speed. He's going 68, 75. He's not really consistent. So the car, though, this car is actually maintaining a gap, and I can increase that gap, and I can decrease that
Route
gap.
recalculation.
But if I want to go around him, I just put my foot down. It sounds fantastic. That's the one part about this Durango RT that I absolutely
Drive
love.
29 miles.
It sounds ballistic. You open this thing up and it just screams. And that gear change is fantastic. And more than that, I actually have paddles here where I can control that gear change manually. Now it will upshift at some point, but there's also a sport button, which I haven't even hit yet. And I'll get to that pretty soon. For now, let's just enjoy the drive. Okay, so I'll give you a little sample. I'm gonna hit the sport button now. Let's see what this thing sounds like. Ready? Oh, that's awesome. Sport button downshifts to a lower gear and then holds RPMs longer. It just launches this thing. It's not like the fastest SUV, but at the same time, it's a fantastic drive. I mean, the sound alone and the way this thing can basically outrun any other SUV on the road or overrun. Why wouldn't you want this? I mean, why wouldn't you? This is such a great road trip vehicle, and it's only 50 grand. There are a lot of road trip vehicles like the S-Class or the 7 Series or the A8 that have all the same sort of tech and luxury, but to be able to afford this one at 50 grand, that's a huge savings. And it really, at that point, when you're able to have fun on your trip and still enjoy your trip and still be relaxed and comfortable and not be fatigued when you get there, isn't that the whole point of buying the right car? That's what this is. I am 31.6 miles into the trip. I've averaged 23.3 mpgs. One thing I want to take note of right now is that this lane assist is a little bit scary. And that's because when I go by these big trucks, and sometimes they're pushing a lot of wind, this vehicle gets sort of moved over in its lane. And what happens is the lane assist, the lane keeping aspect of the lane assist interferes, and it's very, very intrusive. It doesn't slightly nudge or kind of hold the line, it moves over. And I don't know if I like that. I have a button here where I can disable it, and I think I'm going to do that from now on. But at the same time, it's kind of like a little bit too much, I think. I think they need to find a way to tone that down. Another thing to take note of is that I have 159 miles to go to my destination, but the range is 150 miles. This ought to be fun. sounds like a really good idea and really fun, but the problem is it immediately assumes the same speed as the car in front of you. So the car in front may be going too slow for the lane it's in. You automatically do exactly what that car does. So is it safe? Not necessarily. Is it required on the highway? It shouldn't be. Is it great for the city? Yes, especially in stop and go traffic. But in this situation, when the guy in front is constantly changing speed, I'm constantly changing speed. So in order for me to gain efficiency with momentum, look, I'm doing 62 in a 70, and that truck is coming in on me. And that's because radar is doing what that guy is doing. And that's not nice, is it? And this is keeping a gap as well, so I can shrink that gap down, but it just means that I'm still going to do the same speed changes. That now we're doing 75. So, and now he's hitting his brakes. I only really advise it in the city, and the good thing here is I actually have a button that I can hit that will disable adaptive cruise, but allow me to use regular cruise. Plus, I can actually put the sport button on and just get out of here. Now I got cruise set to my speed, and I can manually adjust up and down, or I can cancel and resume. That's how I like to do it on the freeway, because I can gauge these
Traffic
gaps.
jam ahead on I-35 between exit 306 and exit 308.
Got it.
Route recalculation.
Good thing. So basically, I like the regular cruise for the highway and the adaptive cruise for the city. And the Durango RT can do that. Okay, I'm coming up here on traffic, and basically because I was not on radar cruise and now this traffic's getting heavier, I can go back to radar cruise by hitting the radar button twice. So first it will turn off cruise completely, and then hit it again and it will turn the radar on, and then I hit set and now it sets my speed. So I can set it to radar and now let the car take over as far as when everyone slows down, this will slow down. And I don't have to think about it. That's very, very good for road trips because it reduces fatigue, which keeps me a little bit more refreshed and energized so that I don't have to wear myself out thinking about any of this stuff. The vehicle's doing it for me. Between the lane keeping and the radar cruise, there's really not much left for me to do other than maintain the speed limit and keep an eye out for danger. That's it. Radar cruise for me is like a love-hate thing, because as you just saw, a BMW was behind some slow traffic. I already moved over, and I kind of had a gap there because there was really everyone in front of me was going faster than what I was set to at cruise, but I was still passing the cars in the right lane. And what happened was the BMW bolted out, which was fine, but my radar cruise freaked out and hit the brakes. So that meant if someone was behind me in the fast lane, why am I hitting the brakes if I'm passing people? I'm supposed to be passing. And this is what I don't like about radar cruise, and it's in every car that has it. You really can depend on the technology, but you can't ever depend on whoever's in front of you, because they don't know if you have radar, nor would I care if anyone behind me has radar, but it's just the way it makes you look as a driver. I mean, I'm sure if I was behind myself, I'd be like, what an ass! But in this case, it's the technology and the person in front. But, I mean, that person did what they were allowed to do and supposed to do. I mean, they gave it the beans and moved over, so it's just a stupid thing to complain about.
Prepare to exit the highway in 2 miles.
It's a stupid thing to complain about, but it drives me crazy. this is always the question too, right? When you're in a town you don't know and it says pull off and do this and get away from traffic, do you trust it?
Exit the highway.
Do you do it? I'm gonna say yeah, because I can just tell you right now they're all stopped up there. Oh man. And these are some weird Texas off-ramps. Basically it put me on a side road to the freeway, which is totally under construction, but the traffic literally just after this exit block solid, and it warned me about this for 48 miles. And the question always is, do you listen to it when it says, trust me, get off here, there's too much traffic, get off, this is the faster route? Some cars it works, others it doesn't, but I know it works well here because it just proved itself. Well, it looks like the joke's on me, or maybe not. I thought maybe the road was closed and it was an on-ramp only, but it seems to be we still have the option here. I'm going to do what it tells me. I'm going to resist. I really want to get on the freeway, but I don't. Man. I mean, when you have autonomous cars in the future and they make these decisions for you, no thanks. Just no thanks. I could not do that. Nor could I ever have to get in a car every time and tell it where I want to go. It's like, oh yes, you know where you'll find me next? You'll find me at the coffee place. But look, it actually, wow. Yes! Good job, Durango RT. Satisfied and happy I am. That's why this is a great vehicle. Even if you don't really trust it, you should, because everything it does has been worked out and sorted out by engineers who know what they're doing, and they've given me a ride that is very compliant, very supple, but very, very road trip worthy. I mean, I am 62.2 miles and I've driven for 57 minutes. So I'm averaging probably around 60 miles an hour, and I've done 24.8 mpgs as average as well. I'm passing all this traffic because I listened to GPS. That's one reason why you can enter GPS coordinates to your destination before you leave. Oh, look at that. Wow. Not bad. I don't like to use millennial vocabulary, but this traffic is craptastic, and it's great to observe from over here, where I'm moving along freely, and I can look at everybody just sitting there wasting their time because I don't know what's going on up ahead, but obviously they didn't listen to their GPS, or maybe they didn't use it, or maybe they're just not as blessed as I am to have this Uconnect system, which totally saved my butt. I mean, I could be wasting an hour in there at least, and that would have just totally blown this trip and blown my whole day. I mean, look at that, they're stopped completely. Wow. That's outrageous. Anyway, it's better that they're over there anyway, letting me go by, because I really have somewhere to go and things to do, things to show you guys, like this awesome Durango RT, man. It's awesome. Just listen to this thing. Put sport button on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is worth it. Okay, so there is one complaint I will register with you guys, and that is there's no grab handle here. I can't just like have something to hold on to and just relax. There's also nothing on this side either, because there's no gear shifter to put my hand on either. So I have to have my hands on the wheel at all times. I can sort of rest my arm comfortably on the door sill or on the armrest, but sometimes I just want to get into the thinker position or whatever you want to call this, and I can't really do it very well. Very minor complaint, obviously. That's the only thing I can really find right now. Of course, I'm bored. I'm stuck behind this truck right now on a single road, just dying to get onto the freeway again because it's now moving. Okay, so I obviously hit the proverbial honeypot. I'm stuck on a one-lane road. Everyone I passed is most likely now going to pass me, thanks to idiotic Texas Department of Transportation, lack thereof, planning. I'm back on the freeway. I've done 75 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes at 22.8 mpgs. It means that I dropped a little bit in that stop and go traffic. And now we're moving quite freely into Waco, Texas. Now, when I get to Waco, I'll have less than 100 miles to go. The thing here is, though, my range. So I have 105 miles to the hotel, but even with my fuel efficiency, I have a range of 114 miles left to go on the tank. So, will I make it all the way without having to refuel? I hope so. This is the road trip vehicle for 50 grand. I don't think there's anything that comes close to this with this ride, the luxury, the space. I mean, the GMC Acadia Denali isn't this big. It doesn't have a V8. The Volvo XC90 isn't this big. It doesn't have a V8. And of course, this is the RT. This is their HEMI 5.7 liter. There is a bigger one coming out, bigger engine. That is the SRT. So, that'll be all-wheel drive. That'll be even more of a monster than this. I can't imagine how you can improve upon this. So driving that is going to be very, very special. But for 50 grand, right now, I'm just blitzing down the highway. This trip is just flying by. I mean, the miles are just going away. I mean, I'm practically there. That's what I feel like. I don't feel like I'm not there yet. I feel like this is going to be a very short drive. I'm going to miss this truck. I'm going to miss this Durango. It's that much of an impression on me. And I've driven a lot of vehicles, and I've driven across the country many times in many different vehicles. This one in particular, even though it doesn't have a panoramic sunroof, it has something about it. I have to say that the Beats stereo in here is pretty good too. So welcome to Dallas. I am now showing fuel low. It won't even show me the range I have left. That's all right. And then as far as my destination, it's right there. I can see it. So hopefully while running on fumes, literal fumes, I will get to the parking lot, and then I will call that a trip. I know I wasn't doing a fuel economy run on this drive, but half a tank, Austin to Dallas, 75 miles an hour-ish.
After 900 feet, keep right to Lamar Street, then turn right.
It's definitely doable. Here we are. By the way, this thing in corners, oh, so solid.
Now turn right. Prepare to arrive at your destination on the left in 0.4 miles.
Prepare to arrive at my destination. Why are we always preparing? This is the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center in Dallas. This is where the Dallas Auto Show will take place. And, well, there should be about 750 vehicles here. So it's worth going to.
You will arrive at your destination on the left in 1,000 feet.
Cool lighting. I also want to mention that there are controls on the back of the steering wheel, typical FCA kind of stuff, where you can control the volume and track and change the mode of the stereo. It's all here. This thing has everything. I don't think there's anything missing other than a panoramic sunroof. So if you're really a fan of the sun and you love the blazing hot Texas sun, you'll be disappointed. But it does have a regular glass moonroof with a shade, this kind of shade, and I think it's fantastic for the money. Can't beat it. Anyway, here is the...
You have reached your destination on the left.
Here is the hotel. I'm gonna pull in, check in, and call it a trip. So thank you for watching.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Where can I check in?
Check-in's right there. Would you like to valet or self-park?
Can I just check in first and then self-park?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Here we are, Omni.